Today we delve deep into these two unfolding narratives. We'll explore the damning accusations against a prominent congresswoman and unpack the profound implications of the redistricting wars being waged for the soul of the country. In one corner of this fight stands a prominent, media-savvy figure in Congress, Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She's cultivated an image as a fierce, outspoken progressive warrior. But now she faces a barrage of serious accusations from the very people who worked closest to her, painting a picture that brutally contradicts her public persona. Multiple former staffers have broken their silence, describing Crockett as a no-show nightmare boss who terrorizes staffers and treats them less like colleagues and more like personal servants. According to these whistleblowers, Crockett is never in the office, preferring to remain holed up in her luxury apartment, from which she allegedly screams at staff over the phone. One former aide recounted a demoralizing reality, stating she was just laying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is really just indifferent to staff. It's even reported she once reduced a dedicated aide to tears with her tirades. The sources describe a culture of extreme and demanding behavior. Staffers were reportedly forced to serve as her personal Uber drivers, shuttling her around in rented Escalades. They were even required to perform the subservient act of standing outside the car to open and close her door for her. This behavior led one insider to deliver a harsh summary: "All diva, no wow." Critics claim she is focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, not a member of Congress, alleging she only appears in the office when there are cameras for her to perform in front of. When confronted with these detailed and consistent allegations, Representative Crockett's response was not one of reflection, but of defiance. She dismissed them by quoting Beyoncé, stating, "If they are not talking about you, you must not be doing anything." She characterized the deeply personal reports from her former team as slander, more nonsense, more lies, and defiantly declared, "Your hate is my motivation, so keep hating." So what enables this alleged behavior? Commentators point directly to her political security. Representative Crockett holds a congressional district that is overwhelmingly Democrat, a so-called safe seat. This reality, critics argue, removes any real incentive to pass legislation to talk to anybody on the other side of the aisle and be nice, kind, gentle, and humble to your own staff. Her focus is described as purely performative rather than normal, marked by a public style that includes using vulgar and aggressive language against political opponents, including calling Donald Trump a piece of bleep and comparing him to Hitler. The criticism of Representative Crockett's character is unfolding against the backdrop of a much larger bare-knuckle political brawl over redistricting, with Texas as ground zero. For weeks, Texas House Republicans had been trying to achieve a quorum to vote on redrawing the state's congressional map, a plan that would align the state's representation with its conservative voters and likely give Republicans 5 additional seats in Congress. In a dramatic and widely publicized move, Texas House Democrats boarded private jets and fled the state, heading to Washington, D.C. Their goal: to deny the Republicans the quorum needed to vote, effectively grinding the legislative process to a halt. This desperate action, however, triggered significant legal repercussions. The Texas House Speaker issued civil arrest warrants for the fleeing legislators. Governor Abbott was explicit, stating, "The Texas Department of Public Safety is searching for them, will find them, and will arrest them and take them to the Texas Capitol." The Texas Attorney General went even further, petitioning the Texas Supreme Court to begin the process of removing them from office, stating plainly that Texans are fed up with lawmakers who refuse to do their jobs. This Texas battle illuminates a broader national hypocrisy on the issue of gerrymandering. While Democrats decry the Texas efforts as an assault on democracy, many strategists point out that the Democratic Party has no moral high ground. In states they control, like Massachusetts, New Jersey, Illinois, and California, they have effectively gerrymandered Republicans out of existence. In Massachusetts, for example, Republicans represent a significant portion of the electorate, but hold 0 congressional seats, a statistical near impossibility without aggressive gerrymandering. The argument is simple. If you had more normal districts, you might get more normal legislators, instead of radical partisans like Crockett. But the most contentious element of this entire fight revolves around the U.S. Census and a truly explosive question: who should be counted for the purpose of congressional appointment. The current practice favored by Democrats is to count everyone residing in the country, including millions of illegal aliens. Critics argue this practice is a backdoor way to rig the system, disproportionately benefiting blue states. Commentators argue that California, for example, has way more House seats than it should because they have such a high population of illegal aliens. This actively suppresses the will of the people in states like Indiana and Ohio, which see their rightful representation in Washington diluted. This is precisely the issue Donald Trump has vowed to confront. He has taken a firm common-sense stance, stating his intention to direct the Department of Commerce to conduct a census based on citizenship. In his words, people who are in our country illegally will not be counted. Proponents argue this is essential to fight back against a system Democrats have exploited. If illegal aliens were not counted in the apportionment process, some estimates project that 20 to 30 of House Democrat seats wouldn't exist, and Democrats could lose up to 20 electoral votes. Faced with the prospect of fair maps and an accurate census, the rhetoric from the left has escalated dramatically. Prominent Democrats have declared they are all in on launching a nuclear war over district lines. This includes threats of ending the filibuster, packing the Supreme Court, and unleashing constitutional chaos, all because they disapprove of maps drawn by Republicans. It's a strategy some describe as being ready to torch it all for power, even as they constantly cry about protecting democracy. California's Governor Newsom even announced his state would take emergency measures to nullify what is happening in Texas by picking up 5 more seats. Yet the facts on the ground tell a different story. In states like New York, it was the Democrats' own gerrymandered maps that were struck down by the courts for being unconstitutional and biased, violating their own state constitution. Critics argue this is part of a decades-long pattern where Democrats don't play by the rules, they simply tried to rewrite them, from the Russia collusion hoax to multiple impeachments. This thirst for power is set against an economic backdrop that many Americans feel every day. Hard data from the Census Bureau shows that under the Trump administration's policies, every single income group did better. The lowest income groups saw their real income grow by thousands of dollars, and the middle class gained an average of $6,400. In stark contrast, under the Biden administration, the lowest income group has actually lost income, with no gain virtually whatsoever for the middle class. The data suggests income inequality has worsened, only the wealthiest seeing significant improvement. As voters look to the future, these battles over culture, power, and the economy are setting the stage for new leaders to emerge. Early polling for the 2028 GOP nomination already shows leaders who champion the America First agenda, like J.D. Vance, as clear frontrunners. Donald Trump's endorsements have proven to be the most powerful force in the Republican Party, and his continued influence suggests that the movement he built is not just about one man, but about a fundamental realignment of American priorities. From the corridors of a congressional office in Washington to the battle lines of redistricting in Texas, these intertwined narratives reveal a political establishment in crisis. They expose a stark contrast, one side fighting for fame and power at any cost, and another fighting for a fair, honest, and accountable system of representation. The outcome of these conflicts over professional conduct, electoral maps, and who is counted as an American for purposes of representation will undoubtedly define who holds power and what our republic will look like for generations to come.